Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to the sixth episode of the Collaborative Minds. I know I'm going to give you some time to join. I see our viewers are still joining in, so let's wait for a couple of minutes till everyone joins. But I'm so excited to be having our wonderful guest on the show today. And that reminds me that I actually would want to talk about you in the meantime when everybody's joining. I'd like to talk about this beautiful tradition of sand mandala. It's a Tibetan tradition, it's a Tibetan form of art. And what they do in that is that they come up with a beautiful design of the sand, use a lot of colors and intrinsic details, and put in a lot of effort and create something that is so beautiful. It's beautiful, and they put a lot of effort and their creativity into it, and apply a lot of interest. And it's a collaborative activity. People work on it together, and after they come up with something that's so beautiful, as soon as it completes, they just erase it. They disrupt it. How powerful is that? Imagine you working on something with so much of effort and dedication and devotion, and then you end up disrupting it. You just completely erase it. What that specifically signifies is that that the materialistic needs are just transitory. Everything is just in transition. Nothing is going to be here forever. It's we are all used to, or rather be welcoming of change. Nothing stays with us forever. And something similar is what has happened with our wonderful guest, or what he has built his life on what it was to what it is, that at any point, no matter what stage we are at, we can always start afresh and create a beautiful life, create more opportunities from ourselves. It all depends on what our mindset is. It all depends on what our approach is. So with that little backstory and with that context, I am really excited to invite our guest on the sixth episode of the Collaborative Minds. Here he is. Welcome to the episode. Welcome to Collaborative Minds, Mr. Rajiv Bedse.
Hi, Vandana. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'll just run through with your quick introduction. So, Mr. Rajiv Bedse, he is the CEO of Career Launch Australia. He's helping people to thrive in life is his passion. Immigration coaching is much more than career coaching. It involves understanding the challenges, the mindset, and the emotions people go through that transition. Empathy and heart to heart connection are the epicenter of his work. We welcome you to the show. We are so grateful for you to have taken this time to be here with us today, Rajiv.
Thank you so much. And can I just say my sincere thanks to you and Mind Art, who is sharing the magic of mindset with aspiring individuals through asking powerful questions, because asking questions which will open up the minds of other people is an art. And so your name Mind Art is very perfect name for the activity that you do. And I always believe that the quality of answer that you receive is will depend heavily on the quality of question that you ask other people. So congratulations to you for getting more than thousand new subscribers as well. And of course, I cannot thank Mr. Darshan Patel enough for creating the Circle of Legends, which uses technology for the betterment of humanity and connects mentors, volunteers, beneficiaries, and mentees across the globe for knowledge sharing. So I feel really blessed, Vandana, to be here on your show, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to add value to all other all aspiring people who are going to be benefited from today's show. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And I see our viewers are joining in, and I see a lot of comments from everyone. They're saying hello and welcome to all of us here. So, all right, I see we're getting a lot of traction right here. So, let's get started with our first question. Now, before we get into the deeper discussion on mindset, how about you walk us through your journey? How was it when you moved to Australia 23 years back?
Look, I've been living here since the last 23 years, and it feels like I came to Australia only yesterday. Uh, it had been a tough journey before I came to Australia. So typically, people, so the immigrant journey starts when they come into Australia, but my journey began before that because my PR visa was declined. And it took me about two and a half years to get the PR visa approved. Once again, because I had to appeal to the Australian government that I do qualify for getting the PR visa. So that's how my journey started. And when I came here, I was 42 years old. So I'm not very old here in Australia, to tell you the truth. I guess my son was 15, my daughter was 13, and I had very little money. The only support I had here is was my sister was here, who offered us the support for initial just a couple of months, and then I was on my own, and I worked in India as a civil engineer for about 20 years, and couldn't find a job after coming to Australia, even after applying to maybe 250, 300 or jobs. So I was in a kind of situation where I needed to bring in the money, and this whole family, my wife, I'm so appreciative of her that we all fought the struggle together along with my both the children. So I started my job by knocking on people's doors at the age of 42, something which I would have never done if I was back home, but here it was the need. So then I became a salesperson, knocking on people's doors, selling just products to people. And then I excelled in my career as a new business development manager, and I became the top BDM in my company out of 35 BDMs. And I was the only Indian there in my entire company. And nationally, I think I was number 6 out of 65 BDMs in the company. So, and then I never looked back at where I came from. I simply focused on adding value to other people, even when I was selling. And I guess that is how I succeeded in my career. That's my short story.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that beautiful journey. I mean, it has all shades in it, the struggle and how you overcome it and how the whole family was sticking together. Disrupting something and starting something from scratch at the age of 42 is not it's not a lot of people would have the courage to do. And it's not something that everyone aspires to do as well. But at the same time, being ready and open to do what it takes is the kind of attitude that's required, and not coming with the baggage of what life used to be back then, but to look forward and look at creating something, having the focus as what I want to create from here. And what you added was you focused on giving value to people, which makes all the difference. So
Yes.
thank you for sharing those, that beautiful journey of yours. And I see a lot of people are already complimenting, saying it's very inspiring that how you're winning over the life situations. And I have a comment from Nandita here. You're saying no sound. Nandita, maybe you would want to, refresh the browser again and try it out all over again, because I see other viewers are able to listen to us. All right, so let's move to the next question. Now, when it came to job search, you mentioned that in the beginning of your journey, you applied for, say, 200 jobs back then. But when it comes to job search, what would you say has been consistent back then as compared to the life now? What is consistent and what has changed when you compare these two timelines?
Look, what is consistent, I believe, is the challenge is in creating your first breakthrough. That is still consistent. What is also consistent is the 3 reasons why you are hired for in any job. And what is also consistent is what employers are actually looking for in the professionals when they hire you. Let me elaborate a little bit on this. When you are new and you want to create your new breakthrough, it's always a challenge. And typically most people do not understand the importance of having the right kind of strategy, because I strongly believe that the job searching skills are very different than the technical skills that you possess. Now, any Tom, Dick, and Harry in the world, including you, me, the Australian Prime Minister or the Indian Prime Minister for that matter, are hired only for 3 reasons. I call them IPS, which is not the Indian Police Services, but it is to identify, prevent, and solve a problem in your area of expertise. Your job exists only because they have a problem, and they cannot solve that problem themselves. That is why they want to hire you. So this thing is very much consistent. When employers are looking for professionals in the job, what are they looking for? They are only looking for 3 reasons or 3 things. which is how this person has got the demonstrated experience or the potential or the ability to increase the productivity, the efficiency, or profitability of my company. How he
Mm,
can change the status quo of my company. These three
mm,
things have been there, like how we call it a Trikalabadi Satya. It was there, it is there, and it will be there.
mm,
That has been very consistent. What
absolutely.
has changed in the last 23 years is a few things. What has changed is there are more ways of job search which are available now. Back in those days, there was no LinkedIn. Back in those days, the technology had not evolved so much. What has also changed is there are more opportunities, I guess. And most importantly, what changed between then and now is I changed. As Jim Rohn very correctly said once, he said, when you change, everything will change for you. Unless you change, nothing is going to happen. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. Changing yourself is what? Changing your own mindset. And that is exactly why, the kind of mentoring that we offer here at Career Launch Australia is very different because we are more focused on changing your mindset. And that is probably why I think you and I got so close, so together, because you do the same thing. You also offer the mindset challenges, how to overcome the mindset challenges to people and the solutions thereof. And that is exactly what we do. Changing your mindset, I believe, is the most important thing. Job search will come when you have changed your mindset. And these
Mm.
are the things which are very consistent and which have changed over a period of time.
Wow, that's a wonderful answer, and I loved both of your quotes there. The change starts from us, as you said. Things when it comes to job search, the skills are important. Of course, we cannot be not looking at the skills, and the skills are required to solve the problem, as you said, the IPS. Identify, prevent, and solve. Provide the solution. The skills definitely are important, but the mindset is how you apply those skills. Both of them are related. If you have the skills but you don't know how to apply them, how to approach things, and how to go forward in using it to your best ability, it's not going to, they both of them need to marry each other to get the kind of outcome that we need. So yes, I mean, the consistency remains in why people need a job, or why employers need the employees. At the same time, what needs to change is how we approach it, depending upon how the times are changing. So thank you for
Yes,
that wonderful answer. I see, people are not taking notes of IPS, which is identify, prevent, and solve. Love that.
sure, sure.
Just a question. I just wanted to check with the audience. I'm not sure. I just wanted to check if you all are able to see from Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Just give us a comment, a hi, or something from all of these platforms. Okay, I do see that we have messages from LinkedIn as well. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for your engagement, guys. All right, so let's move on to our next question. Now, when it comes to, you mentioned the importance of mindset. When it comes to having a productive mindset, what's your key mindset strategy for an effective job search?
Typically when we go out, when we are looking for the job, whether it is here in Australia or in India, one of the most common things that I have noticed in people is people call it a job seeker. People call themselves a job seeker. When you become a seeker, the employer become a giver. And the giver is always in control. You are never in control. I do not even use that word job seeker much, even during my entire program, because you are not a job seeker. You are a job searcher, and finding is reserved only for searchers.
Mhm.
What is the most important mindset anybody can nurture in this entire process is the giver's mindset. And that is why my best quote, the quote that I have, it's my own quote, which says that your life is about adding value to others in a meaningful way while doing what you love to do. So there are
Mm.
two parts of this quote. You got to love doing what you do, and only then you can add value to other people. And that is why getting the job in the field of your choice is extremely important. But your job is not about you, it's about them. It's always about them. If you are simply looking at seeking the job, then you are being very self centric. And the more self centric you become, the more resistance, the more anxiety, the more stress you will have during the job search process, during the entire process. How
Mm.
about changing that mindset from being a job seeker to a job searcher? More importantly, what I teach my clients is to have the mindset of a problem solver or a
Mm.
solutions creator. Because when you are able to solve problems, people want to hire you only because they want you to solve their problems. Nothing
Mm.
much, nothing more, nothing less. So
Mm.
the job is there only because they believe, or you should believe in your own mind first, that I have the ability to solve their problems. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, and I very typically use this example during my program as well. Let's say, for example, you hire a plumber, and the plumber, you call the plumber. What is more important to notice here is you have initiated a call to the plumber. Whether the plumber is here in Australia or in India or in America or wherever he is, when you call the plumber walks into your home. The plumber
Mm.
never comes to you like a beggar.
Mm.
When he walks into your home, he has got his chest high and his head up. Look at his posture, the way he enters into your house. Then he asks you what the problem is. You take him to the bathroom or to the kitchen or wherever the problem is. He fixes the problem. And in a country like Australia, it's very easy that they will charge you 150 bucks. He's gone in 15 minutes. He has charged you whatever he can, or he wants rather. And if you ask him for, if you try to negotiate with him, he will not be able to, he will not be willing to negotiate. He will go, this is my charge, this is what I charge. I
Mm.
will charge you 10% more if you want a receipt.
Mm.
It's very important that we learn this kind of mindset from these people. And most plumbers in any country in the world are not educated.
Mm.
They don't know this mindset kind of thing, but
Mm.
they strongly believe in their own ability, that they are the ones who are there to fix the problem. The more
Mm.
you the more you emphasize, the more you focus on solving the problems for your beneficiaries, the less stress you will have and the more money you will able to get. When you solve people's problem, when you offer them what they want, they'll be more than happy to offer you what you want. It's the simple logic. And
Yeah.
that is why that giver's mindset is a very, very important thing. Take the focus of you guys, put the entire focus on the beneficiary, on the employer, and tell them how you are able to solve their problems, how much potential you have. And you don't
Mm.
necessarily need to have an experience for that, a long experience for that.
Mm.
Even a fresh graduate has got the capacity, has the ability to solve the problems. In today's day and age, when the education has become so practical as opposed to academic or theoretical, it used to be in the past, that
Mm.
you take that education and enter into the marketplace and you will be able to fix the problems for the employers.
Mm.
Believing that you are a problem solver or a solution creator and not a job seeker will
Mm.
definitely help you. One of the biggest mistakes, Vandana, people make in the job interview, if you ask somebody how do you clear a job interview, you will often get this answer: sell yourself.
Mm.
That is the most inappropriate strategy in a job search.
Mm.
Why would you sell yourself? Just imagine you walking into a store and three or four girls or the boys rushing at you and trying to flog your product. How would you feel? It's exactly the same thing when you go out in the job for the job search and you are in that interview room sitting with the employer or with the recruiter and you try to sell yourself. I have worked in Australia in the field of new business development, Vandana, and what I have understood is this: people who want to buy, nobody likes to be sold to.
Mm.
They want to make that conscious choice. They want to make that informed decision. It is your job not to sell yourself. Your interview is never about impressing.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear and very upfront and honest about it. Your interview is about expressing yourself so well that you will influence the employer to buy your product willingly. That's
Mm.
how you clear the interview. You don't try to sell yourself in a job interview. That is the stupidest idea I have ever heard. And many people make that mistake. I'm sorry to say this.
Yes.
Does that make sense, Vandana?
It's a harsh reality, of course. And thank you so much for saying that. It's so powerful to know that the change of language, how we use the terms, as you said, job seeker as against job searcher. The change of language, how we look at ourselves, and the confidence that we have in our ability. And to what you said, I'd like to add my own personal experience. So my very first job, as a computer science, fresh grad. I was in third year, so we used to have this campus placements. And in the campus placement in my job, very first interview, I was all in my head, not feeling confident about my ability to be able to answer the questions, to come up with the algorithms and the coding if they ask me. I did clear a few rounds based on what I felt comfortable with. But as soon as I got in my head and started doubting myself, it didn't turn out well. And while in the second interview, to what you said, I decided that, whatever happens, I've done what I've done. I'm just going to be present and just going to say what I have. I know my strengths and I'm going to work on that. And it just worked. They didn't care about, what my software skills were or not, but they were able to see that she's comfortable and is able to express herself. So what you said is, we trying to impress others, thinking that what they are wanting, we are all imagining this in our head. We don't know what's going on in theirs, but we make ourselves see it in a way that creates anxiety and pressure and stuff like that on us, and somewhere makes us doubt us, which reflects in our body language and in our being in that session. So what you said is so important, that we don't have to look at something that we need to go and impress someone. It's about knowing that we have the ability to solve a problem that they have, and just expressing ourselves in the best possible way, and then letting them decide, and not holding ourselves responsible. If we don't get a job, it's not because there's something lacking. It might be because they're looking for something else, and which is fair enough. So having that mindset kind of takes the pressure off. So thank you so much for sharing, and I see that our viewers are taking a lot of value from it.
You
That it
see,
is.
you being confident in a job interview will take a lot of stress out of you. It's like you just got to believe that, yes, I am the person who can add value to the employer. You're not seeking a job. You are giving them incredible value. The
Absolutely.
reason, we have been so successful, and I strongly believe that we are blessed, and we are blessed because we at Career Launch Australia get the opportunity to serve so many people in a very unique way. And that is the approach that I suggest people take. You're not there to seek the job. You're there to solve their problems. And when you have that much of confidence that, yes, I have the ability to solve their problems, it is like you having this $100 note. You carrying a $100 note with you, and you're giving it to the employer and saying, "Hey, buddy, this is for you." Now, when you are giving that $100 note to the employer, there is no stress, there is no tension, because you are a giver, he is the seeker. Whether he accepts it or not, it's entirely his choice. If he doesn't accept it, that's fine. You will take that $100 note and take it to somebody else, like you said, that every job is not for you. They might be looking for something else which you don't have to offer. That's fine. There is somebody who is looking for somebody like you, and you just need to find that person.
Yes.
That's all job search is all about. It's not a rocket science at all.
Getting a lot of thumbs up from the audience here. Absolutely. I love the way that you said that it's like giving value. It's like giving this $100 note. It's saying that if you want, fine. If this helps you, good. If it doesn't help you, all good. No problem. It stays with me. Usually what happens with people is, when we get rejected, if there are any rejections, well, I don't call it rejection, but not getting selected, they make a meaning around it, that it must be something to do with me. I am not good enough, and you start doubting yourself and put yourself down, which is not the place to go at all.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
wonderful. So I'm moving on to our next question now. So when an immigrant moves into a new country, when they arrive, there's so much of confusion going on. There's so much of chaos already. Now, in that confusion and chaos, there's also this added pressure of job search, or finding a way and feeling settled. So when somebody is in that state, how do you approach the clients, or your people that you work with, to get them first to settle and then start looking at it very objectively?
You see what happens, Vandana, in most cases, there's a lot of apprehension and overwhelm instead of anticipation. And I call them the liabilities. People come to Australia with a lot of liabilities. Now, liability in this context is anything and everything that will stop you from reaching your career goal. Even the immigrants who are anticipative are hoping, or wishing to land their perfect job quickly. without
Mm,
having the right job search strategy. And that is
mm,
why that doesn't help them. You see,
mm,
job search skills or the career management skills are very different than the technical skills that most immigrants possess.
mm,
It's like a mechanical engineer might know a lot of things about the car, but that's a different technique or that's a different skill than racing the car in a Grand Prix and actually
mm,
winning it.
mm.
So these two skills, you being a mechanical engineer doesn't mean that you will be able to race the car and win the Grand Prix. So it's a very different technique. So immigrants need to have crystal clarity, around their purpose. And this, in my honest opinion, is the core to their success.
Mm,
Because many people come to Australia and they have different reasons to migrate. But reasons can only lead to conclusion.
mm,
Only emotions will lead to action. And you
mm,
will become emotional only when you have a crystal clear clarity about your purpose in life. When I came to Australia, my purpose in life was my family. The three other faces in my family, my wife and my two other children. Did I not have any challenges? Did I not have any problems? You tell me. I had infinite number of problems. I can talk to you about my problems the whole day. But the thing there was that I was driven by my purpose. I wanted to make sure that I wanted to give the best life to my children, to my wife, and to my entire family in this country.
mm,
And that is why I was here. So I was very clear about my purpose. To be very precise, when I came from India, I did not even have any money. When I remember when my father called me at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he said, "Rajiv, your visa has come. What do you want to do?" I said, "I'm going." I did not have money. I did not have money, zero money, when I made up my mind to come to Australia. My son was 15, my daughter was 13. They both went to convent school. They were doing well. My wife was working as a law officer for a deemed university in Pune.
mm,
I was living there for 20 years. I worked as a civil engineer for 20 years. So I did not really have any reason as such to migrate to Australia. What
mm,
drove me to come to Australia was my purpose. And this is what I say to people. You will find a job very quickly as long as you are driven by your purpose. It is
mm,
something that strong burning desire, that urge to succeed, whatever it takes. So to find the purpose to start with and then be emotionally attached to your purpose will significantly improve your chances of not only getting the job in Australia quickly, but you settling here in Australia very quickly. And it applies the same even to the fresh graduates as well. Many
okay.
fresh graduates decide to stay in Australia, and the first question I ask them, "Why are you here in Australia in the first place?
Mm,
What is your purpose? What do you want to achieve in life? I want to get married. I want to have a family. I want to bring my parents across." Now they are talking.
yeah,
Their purpose is now they want to bring their parents across.
right.
I even go on to the next step. I call it a higher purpose. What is your higher purpose in life?
Yeah.
What drives you? What does not let you sleep at night? What gets you out of bed every morning? That is
Mm,
your purpose. So you should be driven by the purpose. So all immigrants, when they migrate to Australia, they need to understand, they need to explore what their purpose is and be emotionally attached to the purpose. Then the second thing that they need to have is winning philosophy. Unless you have the winning philosophy, again, we are talking in this today's program, we are only talking about mindset, and that is exactly what I talk about in my entire program. Vandana. Doing your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile is what we do, and our resumes have been appreciated by companies like Hayes Recruitment and all that. But that is just a part of what we do. The most important point is this: the mindset. Developing winning philosophy is the most important thing you can do.
mm,
When people come to Australia, if their philosophy is this is the racist country, their attitude will be proportionate to their philosophy, and so will be their actions, and so will be the results. It's a
mm,
mindset. It's a very average mindset. As opposed to that, if you come to Australia and believe that this is the land of opportunities, then regardless of the challenges that you face after you come to Australia, you will still do whatever you're based. And I don't call the word struggle. I don't call it struggle. I call it survival. Struggle is a very negative word. So
Mm,
you will still survive here in this country, and then you will sustain, and then you will succeed. These are the three steps or
mm,
stages that any immigrant has to go through. Developing winning philosophy is the most important thing. When I got my PR visa, my father said, "Are you going?" I said, "Yes, I'm going." I didn't have the money. My mindset was, I will go to Australia and do something worthwhile. I did not know what, Vandana.
mm,
It's like the guy in Three Idiots. What he says to the interviewer, he says, "Well, आप बोले मुझे जॉब दे या ना दे, मुझे पता है कि मैं जिंदगी में कुछ तो ढंग का कर ही लूंगा.
mm.
I will do something worthwhile in my life." That was my attitude, and that tremendously helped me. And most importantly, the inner preparation. Having that inner strength, building that inner strength, it is always the stimulus versus response. When you come to Australia, everything that is outside is called stimulus.
Mm,
What is here is called the response.
mm,
If your response is dependent on the stimulus, then the stimulus will always take over and you
mm.
will always suffer. What is more important is to have that inner strength, or what we call as resilience.
Absolutely.
And that is my advice to the immigrants or even to the fresh graduates to survive here in this country. Look, I know getting a job in Australia is not easy. I always say this to my clients. But it is not impossible either. If one Rajiv Bedse can do it after coming to Australia at the age of 42, any Tom, Dick, and Harry in the world can do it. I can guarantee you that. And that is my mindset. That is what I believe.
Wow, that just made me feel so powerful right now. I'm sure it must have given strength to a lot of our viewers. And what an amazing, journey that you've shared and philosophy that you've shared. We need to have that inner strength and resilience. And it's not just about you. We were talking in terms of in context of Australia, but it applies to everything in life. When
Anywhere
you
in
were
the world.
talking about
Yes.
it, I went back to my memory. Somehow in my mind, I was in my third grade when I changed my school, and how difficult it was for me to accept the change itself in the first time, because everything was different. I didn't like it, and till the time I was in that space, nothing felt good. And then when you change and when you flip, when you have that inner knowing that no, I'm here now, let me do what I can best do from this point on, then everything changes. So when something changes inside of you, things start changing outside of you, which is so beautifully expressed that when you are ready, you will get what you're ready for. But and if you are not, then no matter how much you look for it, it's not going to happen. Nothing will work out if you are not ready. So definitely
Absolutely.
that is where we need to start, and still keep building on other things. As you said, you need to have the career resume building, you need to have your profile in place, you need to be updated with what's going on out there. At the same time, what stays with you and what needs to be consistently within you is that attitude, that why, knowing what your purpose is, highest
Yes.
intentions, being connected to that. Because as you said, when if you're connected to job search, if that's the purpose, then of course there's disappointment. But if you're connected to, no, I want to make a good life, I want to have, like, this is, I'm doing this for my family, then no matter how many job searches you go through, you will still be connected to this and keep going and stay motivated. So thank you for sharing that, the power section
You're
of
welcome.
the story, I would say. So I see a lot of thank yous and greetings coming on from our viewers. And please, at this point of our session, please start putting on your questions. If you have any specific questions for Mr. Bedse, we'll be entertaining the questions and making sure that we answer all the queries that you have, maybe not today, but afterwards. So now I have one more key question before I start taking audience questions.
Mhm.
Everything, as per me, starts from trust, from the place of trust. When we trust ourselves or when we trust others. But what is, as per you, is the key element of building trust?
When you're talking trust, are you talking about trust in yourself in your job search? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I mean, even say, let's put in the context that if I'm approaching someone, like if I'm new here to any country or any place, when it's the experience is new, how do you start trusting someone to help you with, or what's the first step of building that trust?
The first thing that I think people should do is, improve their self-image. One of the most important things that happens in life is, you build that trust, you build the confidence in yourself. Self trust is most important when we're talking about trust. So most people, this is a very typical question I ask to people: do you love yourself? And people are like, yes. And I say, then how do you know? Most people don't have an answer to that question. Most people do not know, or most people do not love themselves strongly enough. And loving yourself is one of the most important things that will significantly improve your trust in your own self. That will improve your self image. It will improve your self belief. It will increase your self confidence. Because when you build when you build that trust, and when you believe in your own ability, then you will have the self confidence that, yes, like you said, the inner knowing. When you have the inner knowing, Vandana, you don't need to express that to people. People will know that you have that inner knowing, because that will be expressed in your behavior anyway. That is what we call as your character. You build a character based on your trust, and you will build a character only when you trust yourself. You trust your own self. When you go to the job interview, people do not care less about what you have done.
Mm.
To be perfectly honest with you, all the resumes that I see of people, even the experienced professionals, are simply roles and responsibilities, roles and responsibilities, roles and responsibilities. And one of the most common, commonsensical thing to do, or for any employer or any recruiter, when you are looking at the resume, they know for a fact that without you performing those tasks and without you performing those responsibilities, you will not be in that role for that long anyway.
Mm.
So they're like, give me a break. Don't tell me what I know already. Tell me something that I do not know. People do not care less about what you have done. People care more about how well you have done what you have done. The quality of work is very important for them. How do you build trust in a job interview? I call it the KLT, know, like, and trust. KLT formula.
Okay.
People will know you from it when they look at your resume. They will like you when you are face to face with them in a job interview. But they will trust you only when you tell them the stories of your past accomplishments. That is how you build trust in a job interview.
Mm.
If you simply tell them that I have the communication skills, or I have the ability to manage the stakeholders, it means nothing to them.
Mm.
Unless you give them an example then and tell a story about how your communication skills or how your stakeholder management skills have improved the productivity, efficiency, or the profitability of your previous employer.
Mm.
That is when you build the trust. That is how you build the trust. Is that
I
making
love
sense?
yes, and your face lit up. So I see how you embody it and how you believe in it. And I am a big advocate of self-love and self. I not agree more with you. It all starts from within. It's actually a journey of looking inside and looking outside. And when what you just said, when we trust ourselves enough, we trust others as well, and we trust our ability to handle if there is any, if things don't go our way. So we are fine with that because we trust in our own ability to handle that. So trusting yourself is the place to be. And if you trust yourself enough, you have the ability to trust others and to trust the process and to trust that you will find what you're looking for. So thank you for that. And I have this wonderful question from Mr. Darshan Patel himself. He's saying, one question about your enthusiasm. What's the reason behind that?
Mr. Darshan, I love doing what I do. That's what I said to you earlier. Your life is about adding value to other people in a meaningful way while doing what you love to do. I love doing what I do. I love adding value to other people in a meaningful way. And I really, really feel blessed when I get associated with people like, Vandana and Mr. Darshan Patel for that matter. So thank you so much for asking that question.
Appreciate the answer. And yes, it shows. I mean, the synergy. The synergy always plays a lot when you find people, associated with the same similar values. And as you said, when you ask people, when you in the previous section, when you said that when you ask people, do you love yourself? Nobody knows. They don't even know. They've not thought from that perspective. Then, if we move further ahead and say, what are your core values in life? What do you value? Even that's not what people have even thought about. That, oh, because our decisions, whether we know or not, are based on our values. The people we attract in our lives are based on our values. Our vibe does attract the tribe. So yeah, I mean, and I see that you totally love doing what you do, because you're showing that from your body language, and your face is lights up when you talk about it. So
Look,
more.
one of the biggest roadblocks, Vandana, one of the biggest roadblocks that gets in the way for the immigrants to in their job search is nothing else but they themselves.
Mm.
You are from the IT background. I'm illiterate about it. But what I've understood in my life is this: it is the software that drives the hardware.
Mm.
This hardware, which are called the peripherals of the system, what we are looking at, the laptop, the keyboard, the mouse, the camera, is the hardware. But
Mm.
if the software that you are working on at the moment stops working, this robust hardware is worth nothing. It is the software that drives the hardware.
Yeah.
If this software is corrupt, this hardware will not function properly. That's the message I'm giving.
Love that. Love that. Absolutely. It's the software that's inside of us that's driving the outside, and we need to make sure that we take care of the health of what's in there. So thank you for that message. So we have the next question. Now, what are some of the most common mistakes and things job searchers overlook in their resumes that can be easily avoided?
One of the biggest challenges Varun people have in in presenting themselves well in a job search is understanding what to give. It is important to give, to add value to other people, but you got to understand, you got to know what to give and how much to give.
Mm.
I'm talking about giving it to the employers in your resume.
Mm.
So what to give means what is important to them.
Mm.
Typically, our resumes are bombarded with everything that we possess. We put everything that we possess in the resume. With due respect, I call it a supermarket approach.
Mm.
This is my Coles, or this is my Safeway, this is my Reliance. You come and take whatever you want, and that's it. And that doesn't help. It never works that way. You got to give them, you got to understand what they are looking for and then give it to them. And then when you do that, you will not be seen as somebody who is less experienced or over experienced,
Mm.
because you are understanding, you're putting yourself in their shoes.
Mm.
We call a person pious, pious, is a very sacred person.
Mm.
And who is a pious person? A pious person is the one who understands the other people. In the spiritual language, we call it compassion.
Mm.
I'm going to give you one new spelling of the word pious, pious, putting yourself in other shoes.
Mm.
When you put yourself in other shoes, in the shoes of the employers, in the shoes of the recruiters, understand what they are looking for and give it to them in your resume and in the job interview, they'll be more than willing to pay you what you want. So
Wow.
one of the biggest mistake we make is putting everything that we have in the resume. That will not work.
Wonderful. I love that advice, and I love the acronyms that are coming along with. And I cannot wait to write the follow-up post of this interview, because there's so much, so much to share with our viewers and people who are going to read through later. Now, one last question. Let's take this one last question from Akash. Does all your past accomplishment stories to showcase quantitative results? For example, communication skills, organization skills, planning skills. I mean, I feel what Akash is trying to ask is, um, do all of our past accomplishment stories need to showcase the soft skills? Just let me know if that's not the right rephrase of your question, but that's what I understand from it.
Again, my answer is going to be the same.
Mm.
It is understanding what they're looking for. That is why you will need to change your resume. That is why you will need to modify your resume for every job. I
Awesome.
say to people, after you come to Australia, if you haven't modified your resume for 50 times, you haven't done well. Because
Right.
every job, one size cannot fit all, Vandana.
Yes.
One
Yes.
resume will not be appropriate for each job. You will need to modify the resume as per the job requirements. Yes, if communication skills is their requirements, yes, by all means. If
Yes.
stakeholder management is very important to them, yes, then yes, by all means. These
Agreed.
are
And
the soft skills, and soft skills are intangible skills, but they are mandatory skills in today's day and age. And they are harder to define, they are harder to measure and to evaluate. And the only way you can let them know that you have these skills is only when you are in front of the recruiter or the employer in a job interview. These skills are never taught to you at school. You have to develop them, and that is why these skills are more important. Your stakeholder management, your creative thinking. Who is going to teach you this skill in
mm,
your school or in the college?
absolutely.
Skills like your people skills, your ability to work under pressure, or even compassion for that matter, putting yourself in other people's shoes, is not something that everybody will have. You will need to develop these skills over a period of time. And you have to
Absolutely.
take the responsibility. One of the most important things that the employers appreciate is you having the ownership mindset or owner's mindset. You got to believe that this is your business, this is not my job. And I have always said this in my job interviews, and it has tremendously helped me. I always used to say I treat my job as my own business. And now you are operating in your business as if it is your own business, even if it's a job for you, which means now the managers don't have to worry about supervising you and somebody looking over your shoulders and telling you what to do and what not to, because you are absolutely passionate. You are confident about doing what you do. You are loving what you do.
Mm.
Making sense?
Wonderful. Love that answer. We're getting comments that it's great insights and they loved all that you said. So thank you so much for such wonderful inputs. And right away within this session, while we are still in this session, the key takeaways are love yourself, know yourself. Or rather, let's start from beginning. Know yourself, love yourself, trust in yourself, trust in your higher purpose, and take responsibility of making it come true. Thank you so much for such beautiful gold nuggets coming out of this session. Thank you so much for your time today, Mr. Bedse. We really appreciate it. And people, if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out. If you have any more questions about immigrations, job search, mindset, please feel free to reach out, Mr. Rajiv Bedse from Career Launch Australia. And if you have any more questions, if you are looking for a community of students, please feel free to reach out to the Circle of Legends and connect with like-minded people and contribute and know further ways in which you can make yourself useful. And if you have any further questions related to both of them or how you want to bring them together, please feel free to reach out to me. And this is me, Vandana, signing out from our sixth episode of the Collaborative Minds. Thank you, Mr. Vedse.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Wish you all a wonderful day ahead. And thank you once again for your wonderful engagement. You take care and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.